Okay, all right. Next, we have students who are currently in class 12th who are planning to prepare for the CLAT examination along with their boards for 1 year. So if you're in class 12th, please type 12th here.
I'll pass out also.
All right, okay, that's quite a number. All right. And thirdly, I would like to come to people who are taking the CLAT on the 28th, if at all it happens, fingers crossed, but in all probability it is going to happen. All those who are planning to take the CLAT on 28th and have already made up their mind that if they don't crack the top NLUs, then they would drop 1 year to write the CLAT. How many of you are planning to drop 1 year in case, okay, I don't want that to happen. I want you to give your best performance on the 28th in the CLAT examination. But God forbid if it is not happening, then how many of you are planning to drop 1 year and are sitting for today's webinar? All right. Okay, so I can see that there are a lot of people who are taking the CLAT on this 28th as well. That's great. Okay, so now I would first like to come to all the students from class 11th and 12th who are attending today's webinar. We can basically divide our audience into three parts, okay? The first is the group which has already decided that they want to pursue law. Okay, like you have absolutely made up your mind that you want to pursue law. So all these students from class 11th and 12th who are pretty much decided and pretty much have made up their minds that they want to pursue law, please say I, okay? You can type, either you can raise your hands or you can type I in the chat box. The ones who have made up their minds. All right, okay. So that's the first group, which is pretty much decided, okay? Also, let's come to the second group, which is shuffling between multiple options. Like I'm sure there are people in class 11th and 12th who are attending this seminar, but who are also confused between multiple options. Like, for example, one day you seriously want to pursue law, then, you want to become a fashion designer, then you watch one Bollywood movie and you want to become an Air Force pilot. So how many of you are shuffling between multiple options? If you are, please type I in the chat box. If you're somebody who's shuffling between multiple options, has his legs in way too many boats, like maybe medicine, engineering, law, fashion designing, please type yes. All right, please type I. All right. So I'm going to randomly pick up some people now and ask you what are the multiple options you're shuffling between. Okay, so I see Sneha Singh. Sneha, can you tell me the multiple options you're confused between? Okay, so all of you who are shuffling between multiple options, just in the next 15 seconds, type these options you're confused between. Like, I'm going to get a grasp of what exactly today's audience is like. Yes. All right, so Garv is interested in law and CA, mass communication and law. All right. Chartered accountancy, company secretaryship and law, event management, fashion designing, law. That's a lot of options. Psychology, CS and law. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Okay. And let me finally come to the third group, people who are already preparing for something else, like people who've already enrolled in, let us say, coaching for in a coaching for engineering or in a coaching for NEET examinations. Do we have that crowd as well? People who are already preparing for some other vertical today. All right. So we also have people who've already enrolled in coachings for either the JEE examination or the NEET examination. Okay. So this is okay. All right. All right. Yes, I can read that. Preparing for engineering. All right. So three groups today. One is the group which is pretty much decided that they want to pursue law, and majority of the students here I see are from this group. Second is the group which, like I said, is shuffling between multiple options, and I could see most of the options here as well. These are CA and fashion designing and medicine and engineering and mass communication and management and law and so on and so forth. Okay. And finally, we also have a small group which has already enrolled in one of the coachings where they're already preparing for the NEET or the JEE examination. So the biggest point here, okay, the most important point here that I want to address, guys, Is that so? Why is this session relevant for all these three groups? Why is it equally relevant for people who have decided to pursue law, or people who are shuffling between options, or even people who have started their preparation for something else? Okay, let us first come to the first group, people who've already decided to pursue law. Well, this is going to be an insanely relevant session for you, because in today's session, we are going to touch every aspect of a law school, right from the entrance clat, which you write after your class 12, to what are National Law University, what exactly will you be taught inside National Law University, what will be life inside National Law Universities, what are the extracurricular activities, what are the kind of academics you have inside National Law Universities, to even after National Law Universities, what are the job options, what are the placements from the top colleges, what are you expected in these different job options, like for example, if you go for corporate law, what is the work culture, if you decide to become a judge, what's the work culture, if you want to work for in the social sector, if you want to work, in the world of academics, what is going to be the salary, what is going to be the work structure, what is going to be the work life balance that you will have, and each and every aspect of law school will be touched upon in today's workshop. So all those who are decided, well, this is, like I said, going to be very, very relevant for you. Next is the group which is shuffling between multiple options. And now they'll ask me, sir, why is this workshop relevant for us? For you, if you're shuffling between options, then I will be introducing you to a brilliant option, guys. Okay, because let us first, notice and realize something. You may be shuffling between multiple options and you may not have yet decided on what career do you want to plunge into. Okay, what exactly is that career that you want to pick? But I think you have certain clarity in your mind. And what is that certain clarity? Number one, irrespective of what career option it's going to be, you want a reputable college, you want a college that gives you good average salaries and good placements, and you want a college which is relatively easier to get inside. I think this is a clarity that almost everybody in the workshop today has. All right, nobody in my life has come and told me that, so since I've not decided what career, I'm just going to compromise my life and go to a B grade college, or I don't want to make any money in my life, I want to be poor for the rest of my life. So nobody has ever said that. So this is a clarity everybody has. You haven't decided your career, that's all right. But you want a good college, you want a college which is easier to get inside, and you want a college which gives you good, decent salary. And the option that we'll be discussing today, guys, law, is going to tick all these check boxes. These colleges, the NLUs, they are the most reputable colleges, not just in the country, but in the world, guys. Believe me when I say this. Not just India, but all over the world, these are some of the most reputable colleges. Number two, easier to get inside. So, like I said, if you haven't chosen a career, of course, you know what are some of these good career options. IITs are great, but are IITs easier to get inside? Well, we all know the reality. There are 20 lakh people who will be taking the examination. So even when IITs are great, is it my cup of tea? Will I be able to make it inside an IIT? Well, that's $1 million question. So in the hindsight, this option, law, I'm going to talk about these great colleges, which guys will be relatively easier to get inside. I'm not saying per se easier, but definitely relatively easier. And it's simple. Why? You do the maths. I mean, the CLAT exam, which will lead you inside the NLUs, will be written by, around 80 to 90,000 people. The IITs, well, there are more than 20 lakh aspirants. So there's one exam where 90,000 people you're competing with, and there is another exam where you're competing with 20 lakh people, which is easier to get inside. Obviously, you have your answer. Okay. This is perhaps the most basic maths question I can ask you. So again, second checkbox, easier to get inside. And the salaries, well, towards the later part of the workshop, I'm going to quote the exact figures and you will realize that the salaries you can get from these top law schools is either at par or even more than majority of these top options out there. And when I say majority of the top options, I include everything out there, right from chart accountancy to Stephens to Hindu to IITs to every college that you can perhaps imagine of. So this option can be a great option for you to consider if you're shuffling between multiple options. And now I come to the last group. The last group of people who ask me that, sir, I have actually already started my preparation for engineering. I have already enrolled myself at XYZ coaching center for NEET. So how is this session going to be relevant for me? Well, now comes the third group. This session will be relevant for you guys because law can be your plan B. I am always of the opinion, guys, that we must always have a plan B in life. If our plan A does not work out, then there must be a standby option. There must be a plan B. So let's say, and you know what? I'll tell you something. I teach more than 5 to 6, around 4 to 5,000 students every year. Okay, our online and offline courses combined, we cater to some 4,000 people every year. And obviously, Surbi ma'am and all the other participants will throw some more light on this. You won't believe, but almost 30 to 40% of the crowd that comes to me to prepare for the CLAT examination is from the science background. And majority of them obviously took science because on day one, after their class 10th, when they decided to go for PCM, they had engineering in mind or they had NEET in mind. And most of them also enrolled in one of these big coachings and paid a hefty sum. But down the line somewhere, they do realize that, I don't want to just join some random Tom, Dick, and Harry college on the highway. And I don't think I have it in me to crack the top IITs. So let me also think of a plan B. And this is the 30% lot that we cater, almost 40% of the lot that we cater to here at Clat Possible. So they take this decision somewhere down the line. You can take this decision today. You can take this decision now. Okay, have a plan B. You will at some point in time realize it's better now than late. Okay, so this can be a great plan B, guys. If the engineering option, or if the fashion designing option, if the mass comm option, if the management option, if the medical option does not work for you, you're taking the mocks, you're attending the classes, and you have that feeling that I will not be able to crack the top colleges. Well, like I said, just spare maybe 1 hour or at max a couple of hours along with everything else that you're doing, and you will be pretty much sorted to crack the CLAT paper. And like I said, although this would be your plan B, but in my opinion, this plan B is literally going to be better than whatever plan A it is that you've thought of. Now, that's a big statement that I've made, and it's totally your decision, but this is what I personally feel. Okay. So this session today, this webinar today that we're having is going to be relevant for all these three groups. Okay. You are decided. Well, great. You're shuffling. Again, a great option that I'm going to give you. You have already started your preparation for something else. This is going to be a fantastic plan B. Okay. And now for today's webinar, guys, the panelists that I have, the people who will come and interact with you are people who were in your position just a few years ago. Okay, so most of the webinars, if you have attended our previous webinars, we have called people from the industry. Like, for example, we discussed different career options, corporate law and litigation and so on and so forth. So we call the top people from the industry. We call corporate lawyers and ex-judges and retired judges and senior advocates of the Supreme Court and professors and so on and so forth. Okay. This time, we are focusing on the journey of so many of these students who were exactly in your position a couple of years ago. Students in class 11th and 12th, who had, some of them had taken up science, some of them had taken humanities, some of them later decided they want to pursue law. For the longest time, they did not have clarity. So why am I bringing in these people? So that you can associate, so that you can understand that there are a lot of people like you out there, and where exactly are they today? The decision that they took, how has it helped them? How have we at CLAT Possible helped these people arrive at a conclusion, at a decision? They're going to share your experience. Okay, they're going to share their experience, and most importantly, once they have arrived at the decision or the conclusion that they want to pursue law, most importantly, guys, how did they strike that balancing act between class 11 studies, class 12 boards, dropping 1 year, managing the pressure of that drop year, managing the expectations of the parents in that one drop year, and being able to crack the CLAT paper at the same time. So first hands-on experience. Okay, first hands experience from all these students who've been there, done that, and they will be talking to you. And the event will be moderated by Dr. Surbi Modi Sahai. Okay, and I think you must have attended a lot of seminars, and Surbi ma'am and I have been two common faces. There are guests who keep coming and keep going, but we too have been kind of constants. And sorry to bore you, but then this is what it is at Clat Possible. We'll always be there in most of these webinars, so you have to bear with us. So Dr. Surbi Modi Sahai is an alumnus of Hindu College, and she is the HOD for the verbal, department here at Clat Possible. So critical reasoning, English, she's taking all these classes for students. She was also nominated for a Fulbright scholarship from University of California, Davis campus. So she's going to be she's gotten some 15 years of experience mentoring students, helping them crack the CLAT paper. And, combined at Clat Possible, all of us faculties, we have a record of sending more than almost 6,000 to 7,000 students in all these NLUs for all these years. Okay. And most importantly, it's not just about NLUs. From the past so many years, guys, and you can obviously, everything that I say is verifiable. It can be cross-checked. For all these years, almost 30 to 35% of the crowd that would be joining these top NLUs. And when I say top NLUs, I primarily mean Nalsar and NLS Bangalore and Delhi and Jodhpur. Almost 30 to 35% of the crowd that would be joining these top colleges would be students who've studied with us at Clat Possible. Okay. So like I said, after you listen to today's webinar, after you attend today's webinar, if you think that you need any kind of support, if you think you need, some preparation strategy, some preparation course to help you cruise through, then definitely we can help you out. And for that, towards the end, we will also tell you about all the courses that we have, given the fact that we are facing this mighty pandemic and all the coachings are shut. What could be your options? What could be your preparation strategy? What when coaching's open, let's say you decide to go for one of the online options, but later, let's say 2 months down the line, the coaching's open, then what exactly is your choice? What is the option that you will get? Can you join the online classes? Can you shift from the online to the offline classes? We'll be throwing light on each and every aspect. Okay. So now, without wasting much time, guys, I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep introducing the panelists, and I will be asking them questions along with Surbhi ma'am. But, let's now kick start the session with the first basic thing, which is what are the courses that we have and what is our teaching pedagogy. Okay. So without wasting any time, I would now like to invite Dr. Surbhi Modi Sai, who will throw some light on the courses and the curriculum and the pedagogy that we have here at Clat Possible and how can it help you. And after that, we will jump straight to the students who have kind of taken out time on a Sunday to share their experience and talk about their journey, about life at law schools, placement at law schools, striking a balance between the board examination and the Clat examination, preparation strategy for law schools, so on and so forth. Okay, so I would now like to call Dr. Surbhi Modi Sai. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this lovely Sunday morning. And let me start by congratulating all of you for coming here on a Sunday and also being this serious about your careers. It's not just out of fluke or fun that you are here on Sunday and you are listening into all this, right? It's not a film that you're going to watch. So congratulations. I would like to ask you all to clap for yourselves. ये auto go off करना है. Just 1 minute. On करिए. ठीक है, बंद कर दो. Yes, so everyone, do clap for yourselves. I'm going to start by launching some polls. Yes, so I know Abhishek has asked you this question, but can you answer this poll? How many of you want to pursue law? And Abhishek has already addressed this part on those of you who are confused and are looking at law as a second option. So let me reiterate that point and say that thank you for coming for the workshop today, because if you do not want law as a number one option, this workshop will be extremely more helpful for you because it will tell you why you should look at law as a second option, or probably help you decide that yes, you have not made a wrong decision in not choosing law as a career option. So this workshop is doubly helpful for you. It will end your confusion, or it will convince you to look at law as a second option. And I am very sure of the fact that you can look at law as a second option. It will convince you to do that, definitely. So it's a good step and you should listen in, more so because more than me, you will be talking to and listening to our lovely panel from today. And all these students are at various stages in law school. You have some who are in their fifth year, third year, first year, and there's one who has already graduated. So these students are going to talk about their journey in their preparation, as well as inside of law school, how they coped, and now their career path, what placements they have got, what internships they did. This will really, really help you do all of that. So today's workshop has been designed around these students. You will really get to know how to plan your journey forward. And you will listen into first-hand experience. So they will talk about their days in Clat Possible as students who are confused like you, as students who picked up science, or as students who already knew about law. So you will listen into a whole variety of conversation. Great. So before that, let me just quickly take you. So all this will be dealt with. The students are going to talk about all of this, and the career options, the placement options, the internship options, all this we will be talking to the panel. Actually, life in law schools will be taken up by the panel. In fact, they have the placement and career opportunities in terms of economics and finances. All this, the placements within India, outside India. So these students will give you first-hand figures of the last 2 to 3 years of law schools. Naturally, when it comes to career choices, all of us, including you, your parents, we all look at economics of the whole situation. Is it worth it to pay so much money to law schools? And though law school education is not as expensive as many other options like MBA, it comes in pretty relatively cheap. But what is it at the end of the line? Are you going to be placed? And definitely you can see these are double the figures of placements at engineering colleges. Absolutely double the figures. And this is only average salary. So we are not looking at highest or this thing. So they will be talking about law school education in terms of that. I want to focus on the preparation part, which takes you to almost 23 national law universities today. And these national law universities, these amazing colleges that have come up on the lines of what IITs are to engineering. So they offer a great chance at a good college, all the perks of a great college, whether it's academics or whether it's co-curriculars, whether it's research papers, research, studying abroad, exchange programs. Law school life gives you every exciting moment that any great college in the country would. So again, one of the law school life and studying abroad, all this we will be talking about in our chat today with our guests. Now, mostly whichever exam you take up, whether it's the Clat or the NLU Delhi exam, Symbiosis exam, LSAT exam, the criteria, the basic criteria or eligibility for that exam, as you can see, is somewhere in the range of 45 to 50% marks. And these 45 to 50% marks that you are looking at in terms of eligibility, this eligibility is true for all these exams. So as far as your eligibility is concerned, you can be from any stream and still take this exam. The intake, of course, is maximum when it comes to Clat. You have a chance at 2,500 plus seats. And every year, 1 or 2 law colleges are added to this gamut of colleges. NLU Delhi has a rough intake of about 70. As you would have heard, any reservation for Delhi or Karnataka for NLSIU has been stayed by the courts. So that means the general criteria seats stand for all of you. Symbiosis has 3 campuses for which it takes about 240 plus students. Of course, the best campus to be in is the Pune campus. The other 2 campuses are just all right. So usually we don't recommend campuses just like that, right? LSAT, the exam, which is based on the LSAT exam abroad, but covers Indian law colleges, is another good paper that you can take. And it takes you to Jindal Global Law University, which has really carved a name for itself as a premier institution to study law and, of course, to get scholarships to study abroad. So with just this much entrance eligibility, you get a chance to write so many papers and you get a chance to compete for 25 plus colleges across different papers. So it's a good opportunity to prepare and write or crack any of these exams and study at great places for your law preparation and for your legal studies. After that, career opportunities, etc. Of course, we are going to spend some time talking about it. All these universities that I'm talking to you about today give you a 5-year integrated law program. That means you get a dual degree at the end of 5 years. So you don't have to do a separate graduation and a 3-year law course. To understand what I am talking about? Great. So what is this Clat paper? As you all know, the Clat paper was changed in 2019. And now this Clat paper is a 2-hour paper, yes. But in the 2 hours, the paper is 150 marks, right? And it gives you only 150 questions. The rough distribution of marks in the papers. Just 1 minute, let me see if this is clear. The rough distribution of marks in the paper is almost 35 plus questions in legal, 30 questions in logical, 12 to 15 questions in maths/data interpretation, which is a format in maths, around 30 to 32 questions in English, and again around 35 plus questions in GK. So there is no standardized section division. The Clat paper is going to ask you 150 questions in all these areas, and this is the rough distribution of marks across each section. Right? Is this clear to everyone? Show of hands. Now, what each section means, what each section is going to ask you, we are going to do a demo class for all these sections. How many of you would be interested in a demo class? Let me launch a poll. How many of you would be interested in a demo class? Where we talk about what all comes in the Clat paper. Great. So let me quickly take you to the demo class details, children. demo class details. अरे वो स्लाइड शो एंड करके निकाल सकते हैं क्या? All right, can you see the screen, everyone? Is the screen visible to all of you? कर रहा है ऑटो
थोड़ा माइनस करना पड़ेगा।
स्क्रीन पे पीपीटी शेयर कर।
Yes, can you all see the demo class details now? All right, let me share the PPT on the screen. 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, can you see the screen, PPT on your screen now? Okay, can you see the class details and the link? Right? Can you see the class details and the link, everyone? Great. So please note down the demo class details. As promised, we are going to give you a demo session on all the sections. Okay? As promised, we are going to give you the demo on all the sections. So on 22nd, Tuesday, 4 o'clock is your legal demo class. On the 23rd, Wednesday, is your English and CR demo class. 24th, yes, so these are 4 classes. And the logical class is divided into English and CR and into maths and AR and data interpretation. Anirudh, if you cannot view the PPT, just log out and log in again quickly. Then you will view it. You just have to refresh your Zoom. Right? So the total number of students that are selected finally only in the Clat is somewhere around 2,500 plus. Why I'm saying plus is because every year a new law school usually comes up. This year also there are talks of a couple of new universities coming up, right? So for you to join this demo class, you have to go onto this link which I have shared or scan the QR code from your phone. Or if you cannot do any of these two things, please leave your details in the chat, your phone number and email ID with your name. We have shared the link also just now. Note down this link or leave your details and we will definitely get in touch with you. Leave your numbers, email IDs and your names. Now let me take you briefly to all our courses. We have an online class for class 12 students, which is called the Breeze Online Program. This will be taken through webinars such as these. There will be PPTs, there will be a trainer. He will or she will take you through the entire class based on the PPT. Right? We will be sharing a session plan with you. All classes will be accompanied with class sheets and tests. There will be regular testing and mock papers. We also have a regular day program for students, though usually this program is taken up by students who have done their class 12. It's a weekday program, 5 days a week. We have also a class 11 specific program for students. It's again a weekend program where students come in on Saturdays and Sundays, 6 hours a week. And again, your sessions will be through in the webinar mode. I taken through a studio, all the classes delivered with PPTs and class handouts. So our batch for regular Breeze for all those who have done class 12 or those class 12 students who want to join a regular 5-day program will start on 29th September. And our weekend program will start on 26th September. Please note down the timings. Can you all see the timings here? All those who are interested in starting their preparation straight away, can you answer this poll? All the class 11, 12 students and the class 12 pass out students who would be interested in joining the courses straight away. Lovely. All those students who are not joining the program straight away or those who have said that they may not be interested in joining the program straight away, please, you also leave your details if you need further counseling, one-on-one counseling or customized counseling from us. In our one-on-one counseling, you can visit any of our centers, go onto our website, visit our centers. The counseling will be done through a mode of social distancing, or you can ask us for a one-on-one video counseling session also, and we will share the counseling link with you. Yes, these classes as well as the demo classes are for class 11th and 12th students. If you are in class 11th, you should start straight away. And if you are in class 12th, you too should start straight away. We have options of weekday batches or weekend batches, both. And if you need further counseling, please leave your details here. We will call you up. We can fix up a video counseling, or you can go to any of our centers. Do visit our website for center locations. Great. So without further delay, let me now invite all our other panelists. Children, I request all of you to listen into this discussion as these people share their journey. I think the requirement for any customized counseling will go down if you listen into all these students who have so kindly agreed to come over here with us. May I request all the other panelists to switch on their video and audio?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
So can you see everyone now? Show of hands. There's Divyansh, Anand, and Ayushi Upadhyay. Divyansh has graduated from NLU Delhi. Ayushi is studying in NLU Delhi. And Anant is in his final year in LLSIU Bangalore. Can we enable their screen sharing?
Yeah, I have.
All right, so first let's listen to Divyansh, everyone. Many of you have been talking about 3-year law versus 5-year law, and Divyansh probably will be able to help you better as to why he believes the 5-year law program is good, or why are law schools such a rage? Is it worth it? So Divyansh, if you want to share your screen, you can do that. I've stopped
Yes,
screen
ma'am.
sharing.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just give me 1 second. I'll share a slide so that you have a basic idea as to what I'm talking about. Is the slide visible? Hello.
Yes, can everyone see the slides? Yeah, it's visible, right? Yeah, now it's better, Divyansh.
All right. So I won't be able to see the replies that you're sending. So someone will have to communicate that to me. All right. So I think the first question that a lot of people have, ideally, most of you who have come here would have researched a little bit and would know a little about national law universities. But quite a few parents, even my parents, when I had thought of joining a national law university, giving the CLAT paper, had this question as to why national law universities, right? Why not a 3-year course? So let's go to the very basic level of it, right? What national law universities offer you is a 5-year integrated course. The degree is BA LLB, Bachelor of Arts and LLB, right? What a 3-year course offers you is just LLB. And in order to have the same sort of qualification, you need to have another 3-year course, which is BA. So essentially, to have the same sort of qualification as a graduate from National Law University, whereas he or she might be spending 5 years, you're spending 6 years, which is a very basic calculation, and you have an advantage over anyone who's doing a 3-year degree, right? Let's come to the second point, which I think is more important, as most of us are looking for placements, what are our options for higher education, etc. and etc. See, the degree value of a BA LLB honors course or an integrated course that is offered by natural law universities is much, much more than a basic LLB degree. Basic LLB degrees, I heard someone was asking colleges that are offering basic LLB degrees. All of the state universities, I think, offer basic LLB degrees. DU has CLC, and Lucknow University offers LLB, etc. There across states, there are universities which are offering LLBs, but there are a limited number of natural law universities which are offering 5-year integrated courses. So even the law field, the professionals in the field have realized the value of this 5-year degree. And as such, you will see that all the state universities have also started offering an integrated 5-year course of BLLB, seeing that the value of this course is much more than a basic LLB of 3 years. Right. Now, how do we decide the degree value? In my opinion, what are your placements? See, at the end of the day, why we are all doing this, as Abhishek sir said in the beginning, was that we don't want to be, at the end of the day, I don't want to go to a bad college. I don't want to have a B grade college. I don't want to end up poor in the end, right? I'm not doing it just to stay poor even at the end. Sure, some of us and a few of us could be academicians and we would be doing it for knowledge, and that would be great. But even then, even if you're looking for knowledge, a 5 year course will offer you much more. So let's start with the first thing, placements. As again, Abhishek sir and Surbi ma'am mentioned earlier, placements are something that are excellent in national law universities. At least top 5 or top 6 NLUs have 100% placements. As we go down the tier, I would still say they are 100%, but lesser people are interested in sitting for the campus placement, and more people decide to go out for higher studies, or they decided to pursue litigation, etc. You have to understand that when you start a private practice, that is not counted in placements through college, right? Even though आप अभी भी employed हैं, आपके पास अभी भी job है, you are earning, that is not counted as a placement per se, because you have a private practice and you've not been placed through the college, right? So placements are excellent. There are quite a few firms that are divided into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 would be your Luthra and Luthra, Khaitan, Cam, Sam. All of these firms offer huge packages, and these are for mostly are for corporate lawyers, but you could be in the disputes team. And so you're offered huge packages, right? I think Anant would have better statistics, but as far as I know, the average package from NLS or NLU Delhi or Nalsar has been at least 12 lakhs per annum, which is a huge amount considering engineers passing out and CAs passing out start off at around 6 lakhs per annum. So you see the difference between the two. That's a huge difference, right? And you're being offered that right out of law school. So that's one thing. Then for higher education, um, it is much easier to pursue higher education once you have qualified out of a national law university, because these colleges have a worldwide esteem. They have a worldwide reputation. आप जो जितने भी NLUs हैं, इन सबके foreign universities से tie-ups हैं. Foreign students have exchange programs with us. So there is a lot more awareness about these national law universities in abroad states or colleges that offer, higher studies. For example, there are a lot of people who go for higher studies into Oxford, into Cambridge, into King's College London, and there's so many universities which are looking to take you on if you have qualified from a national law university, right? So that's that. Then thirdly, brand value. Now, at the present moment, I can tell you with surety, but 100% confirmation के साथ कि अगर आपके पास BA LLB की डिग्री है और आपके पास LLB की डिग्री है, in an ordinary circumstances, normally BA LLB की डिग्री की वैल्यू काफी ज्यादा होगी compared to an LLB degree, right? Recruiters prefer to go to BA LLB students rather than LLB students because of the simple fact that BA LLB is a more professional degree, and LLB is more of an academic degree, or it will allow you to practice per se, but hirings are comparatively less through an LLB degree. Am I clear on that? Right. Um, then one last thing that I would really like to mention is sensitization. Sensitization is how I would say is that sensitization can be defined as something that you are much more aware about the issues that are going on in the society. Right now, as a lawyer, you are someone who would be framing laws, advising people, or a multitude of these activities. And people would look up to you to be aware about this. People would look up to you to be aware about social injustices that are happening in order to argue them in court, in order to be able to form laws accordingly. Therefore, sensitization is something that becomes very important. Moreover, At the end of the day, I think all of us want to be better people, right? Once you come out of college, I think Hindi में एक कहावत है कि um, ढाई आखर प्रेम का पढ़े तो पढ़ने दो, something like that, right? What is essentially comes down to is if you're a better person, it is something more commendable than just being literate. There is a huge difference between literate and educated, and sensitization is something that is included in educated, right? All right, coming to the next thing. Why national law universities? What do they offer you apart from just packages and, you know, just a tag alongside your name? Um, Let me be very clear. Recruiters in any field are looking for all-round development. A student has to have a development. It's not like you studied a lot so you can, recite any case that is there. But the problem is you can't speak. You are afraid of speaking. Or the problem is that you've done a lot in studies, but that's all you've done. All of these things play a huge role in the eyes, in the minds of the recruiters. So you need to have an all-round development. You need to have an exposure. I'm not saying that a person who's done very well in academics will not do well. He will do excellent. But at the same time, a person who has done okay in his academics and also done well or good or okay in his other activities, and can actually show an all-round development, then he or she would also do well in this field, right? Now let's see some of the opportunities and facilities that are provided by these national law universities. First, moot courts. Now, moot courts are basically these competitions which are like they have a similar to an actual court setting, and you have to argue from one side. You will be giving a problem, you will be given a fact situation, and you have to argue on the basis of law. Now, this turns out to be a great activity for your development, because not only are you spending time on researching the law, you're also spending time on your ability to be properly expressing what you have researched. And that is an ability that a lawyer really, really needs to have, right? So that's one. Then they offer you debates. All of us know what debates are. I won't talk much about that. Publishing opportunities. Now, inside a law school, once you are in there, you will realize that a lot of people are publishing their writings. As in, let's say a new law has been released and there is no awareness about it, then as a law student, I have the opportunity to write about it, read about it, discuss the law, put my opinions about it, and then get it published. And students, I'm not lying about this. Students in their second year, third year have been published in journals of Cambridge, Oxford, and all of these national law universities have their own journals, and they're constantly publishing material that has been sent in by students who are in across 1 to 5 years. All of these students are sending their publications, and it's a huge achievement to be published. Next up, how do organization committees. Now, when you're in law colleges, you will realize there are a lot of events that are happening. As I mentioned, there are seminars, there are exchange programs, there are guest lectures. These organization committees are made for every event, and this is a one of the greatest opportunities to have a great experience and also to learn a lot, because you are actually everything from organization, everything about organization from the beginning, from getting permissions of a particular room, of a particular location, to inviting judges, inviting people, inviting participants, deciding the problem. Everything is left up to you, right? It is you who is doing all the work. The college is only involved in allowing you to do so. And it is a first-hand experience of the world, so to say. You are going out, you're negotiating with clients, you are talking to them, you are bargaining with them, you're putting forward your own points, and you are trying to be amenable to what they are saying too. So this is a huge opportunity. Organization committees are a huge opportunity to experience pressure that you would actually feel once you're out of law school and you're working. And it provides you the opportunity to develop your skills as a person, as a negotiator, as a lawyer, as just a person who's organizing stuff, And next up, seminars. There are quite a few seminars, especially National Law University Delhi. I can talk about that because National Law University Delhi has seminars. I think almost every week there is something happening. And these seminars offer you a huge amount of opportunities to get to know people who are at the top of their fields, right? At the top of their fields, but may it be IP, may it be law, may it be social causes. All of these people that come to these seminars, these webinars, or these talks, they're people who are at the forefront of their fields and have done great jobs. And you get to talk to them. You have the access. You have the opportunity to talk to them. You have the opportunity to know them. You have the opportunity to work with them. And it is an absolutely beautiful thing, this opportunity that is available. Um, Quickly, exchange programs. Students of national law universities go to various law universities across the world. For example, Bergen, or quite a few of my peers went to UK, and Australian students have visited National Law University Delhi, and there's a lot of exchange that keeps happening. And again, that's a huge exposure. One of the main things that a lawyer needs to have is exposure. You need to be aware about a lot of things, and you need to be comfortable in a lot of situations. And again, this is something which is offered by National Law University. Lastly, a few things that are there. What can you do after a National Law University Delhi, right? Maybe you do not want to go and be a corporate lawyer, or maybe you do not want to go and have your own practice. What you can do is you have opportunity to go for higher studies. Like I mentioned, you can go for an LLM, you can go for an MBA, you can go for civils preparation, you can go for judiciary preparation. And civils preparation and judiciary preparation is something that is held inside national law universities, because it how it happens is that the fourth and fifth years are slightly easier than the first 3 years. So in the last 2 years, you have quite a bit of time to yourself to devote yourself to entirely for preparation of civils and judiciary and whatever exam for MBA if you're preparing, right? Moreover, what other things that you can go for is policy sectors. A senior of mine was actually working with Kevin O'Brien. I don't know if you people have heard of him. He used to host the Bonvita quiz. So yeah, and right now I think he's a MP in the assembly, and yeah, so basically a senior of mine is working with him and working on policy matters. These laws that are released, these policies that are made by the government, they're working on those. So that is something also that you can do through this, right? Lastly, legal aid. Now, legal aid, as you understand, not everyone in our country has the money to law. Not everyone in our country has the money, has the opportunity to represent themselves in courts. And legal aid is something that allows you to do that. Right? So a lot of students are working in legal aid. A lot of my friends are working for the welfare of victims of crimes, of representing so many people who not have had a chance to have their injustices remedied by the courts. So that is again something that you can do. I think these are the factors which you would really want to consider when thinking about national law university. Right? Thank you.
Thank you, Divyansh. There are a couple of questions which I will pose towards the end. Iti Garg has asked a question, and Adya Pandey has asked a question. So maybe Anand can take up these questions in his speech about preparation versus working and preparing for judicial side by side, or let's say preparing for anything side by side, and also a little more elaborate. Somebody Adya Pandey wanted some more details on legal aid, so maybe we will take it up by and by. Maybe we'd like to get the lady in now. Ayushi is there, so Ayushi can probably talk about the preparation part, and then we can get Anant to finally talk about the law school life versus internships, etc., and close this session. So, Ayushi, do you have something to share with us?
Yes, ma'am, I'll share the screen.
So Ayushi was with us last year, and last year she got into both NLS and NLU Delhi. So Ayushi chose Delhi over NLS. We have NLS as well as NLU Delhi. Her seniors are here. Maybe Ayushi can also take up the choice between the two colleges, and why she decided on choosing NLU Delhi over NLS IU.
Sure,
Over
I'll
to you,
take it.
Ayushi.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Ayushi, and I'm a second-year law student at National Law University, Delhi. I'll be basically dealing with how to prepare for Clat. I've read the questions that you people were sending to us, so I'll also account for them while speaking. So let's start. So as ma'am introduced in the section that introduced in the beginning that this exam comprises of 5 sections, namely English, GK, mathematics, logical, and legal. So I'll give an overview of all the sections because those sections will be dealt in detail by ma'am in the demo classes, as she said. But so I'll prefer to give an overview so that when I talk about balancing between CLAT and school, you have a bit more clarity as to what sections need to be done beforehand and what can be done afterwards or need to be done side by side along with your board preparation. So first of all, English. For me, English was all about 3 things: reading, vocab, and grammar. It might be something more than that, but basically, it's all about these 3 things only. So, if I talk about reading skills, so this skill is something that we start developing since the very beginning. But if you want to improve upon them, you should start reading something. So, the first priority for this examination, I believe that if you want to improve your reading skills, should be newspapers, because it's not something that will help only for English but also for general knowledge as well. So newspapers should be the first priority if you want to improve your reading skills. Now the and apart from that, you can read anything that captivates your interest, but not something very basic that you are reading story books of like 6 to 7 class. Something that stimulates you intellectually, forces you to critically analyze the thing, because that critical analysis will help you in the critical reasoning section of the logical reasoning. And more, not only that section but also further in your life in law schools, and then as a career in a career as a lawyer or anything which you do, critical analysis is something that we need in every sphere. So you need to read anything from that perspective. Now for reading newspapers, then a lot of GMAT comprehensions and all are available on the internet. Your coaching material will help you, books or anything, as I said, that captivates your interest. Now, the preparation for reading, vocab, or grammar all goes hand in hand. It's not that you can do them in isolation. You need to separately do anything for vocab or separately do anything for reading. No, everything goes hand in hand. While reading the newspaper, if you come across a new word whose meaning you don't know, you can just write it down and look up for it. That should be done. You need to be inquisitive about the things. You should not take them for granted. Like, let it be. I'll take just if you see anything which you do not know, just write it down and look up for it. That should be done. You should have that inquisitiveness within you. It's not just about this preparation. I'm talking about life as a whole. If you want to be successful, this is something very basic that we need. Now, grammar is something that we are being taught since class first and two, but even I ignore, and I believe that most of the people throughout their schooling ignore this the most. Even the teachers do not pay heed to grammar a lot, but this is something which you cannot afford to ignore if you want to be successful in this examination, because section is all about grammar. You cannot afford to ignore it. So English, in brief, I'll say, is about reading, vocab, and grammar. And its syllabus is very much concise. It's not that you cannot do it. It's very much possible to complete it. You should not be selective in the preparation for English. Like if I'll talk when I talk about the other sections like GK, and also I'll say that you need to be selective. You need to be smart. But the same doesn't go for this section. It's pretty much possible to complete everything in this section. What you need is just clear the concepts and then practice. Once you clear the concepts of the grammar and everything, you can keep the section aside, and after that what you all need is practice. So for class 11 students, as I'll say at the last, but what you can do is that you can clear the concepts of English in the very beginning when you are in 11th, so that when you are in 12th, what all you can do is just practice. You will not have to spend time in clearing the concepts, and you can focus more on both. What you'll have to do is just practice. So this is for English. Now let's move towards general knowledge. So general knowledge for legal entrance examinations can be broadly classified into current and static. The balance is tilted towards current. So we'll first deal with this and then move toward the static portion. So current affairs is something which is not only about this examination. I believe each and every person should be aware with what all is going around the world. But being an aware citizen and studying current affairs for the purpose of this examination are two poles apart. Because when you are studying them just for the sake of being aware, then what you need is the crux of everything. But for this examination, you need to go into the factual matrix, the minor details. So for that, I'll believe that the demo classes would work as to what you need to read and what you do not need to read. But I'll say that the newspapers are the must. You should also make your own notes, because I believe in making my own notes, as it helps, because you can interrelate the things. Everything which you believe is important can be written at a single place. I'll give an example. Let's say that a particular player is the highest scorer of a league. You'll write it down, and then let's say after 2 to 3 months, you again come across any other person who says that, let's say that Eliza Healy was the match of women of the tournament of World Cup. So you'll write down that there only. So when you come back to revise, all of that will be at a single place. It will be easy for you to remember. So I believe in making my own notes when reading from the newspaper. If you want, if it fits you, you can also do it. But apart from that, compendiums and all of the coachings work. However, you need to keep your sources limited. It's not that ye bhi kar le, ye bhi kar le. You'll just keep on wandering and kuch bhi nahi ho payega. You need to keep your sources limited. 1 to 2, or I should say all the compendiums are pretty much same. There will be minor differences, but you can take up and do it properly. So apart from that, there are a lot of sites. You can do refer to them, but then there are these magazines and all. I believe they are better for the UPSC aspirants because they are bit detailed. You do not need to go into that nuances. What you just need is factual knowledge. So I believe sites and compendiums would suffice, and you do not, and newspapers. Apart from that, I don't think there is anything much that you need to do for current affairs. Then static. Static is very wide, much more than that current, much more than the current affairs sections. So in static, you have to focus on history, geography, and economics, not anything else, and mostly history and geography. So I think whatever is provided by the coaching suffices. And if you do not join any coaching, then there are a lot of Telegram groups and all. You can also refer to them. But you just need to, for static, you should not wander, because if you start delving into the depths of static, then it's too much. You'll not be able to do anything else. So for static, just keep your sources very limited, and that would suffice. So first, if I talk about the strategy for this section, you need to relate the events. Interrelation is the must, because that is something which helps you in remembering. Because I don't think it's possible to remember each and everything what happens around the year along with the static portion. So you need to interrelate the things. And the most important thing is that you cannot read static GK and current GK in isolation. They need to be dealt together. Let's say if something happening, like Asian Games are taking place. So you need to look up for which nation hosted the first Asian Games, or what was the rank of India in that medal tally. Because all of this has been asked and can be asked. So you need to static and current goes hand in hand, what I basically mean by this. Now, as I said, for English section, revision is equals to practice. But for this section, I don't think revision is equals to practice. You need to revise it. Like at the end of the month, just revise what all happened in the previous month. And you need to be regular with this. As I said for English, that once you are clear with the concepts, you can keep it aside. But that doesn't go for this section. You need to be regular, because if you are not regular, it will pile up, and at the end, it's going to haunt you like anything. So be regular with this section. Now, the next section is legal reasoning. It's an innovation of this examination, because this section is not present in any other examination per se. So the content is basically the legal concepts. You'll get a legal principle. You'll have to apply it over a factual scenario and get to the right answer. It is not as simple as it sounds. If you have the legal understanding of the principle, it definitely helps. So for that, any sort of assistance can definitely be taken up. But the best source, I believe, for this section are the previous year question papers. They are the must for this section because they'll give an idea of what all this section is about. And you do not need to have only the literal understanding of the principle, but also some concepts which lie behind them. So I'll say best for this section are the PYQs. There are some books in the market available, but don't fall for them because they have a chunk of wrong answers. So I'll say that PYQ suffice for this section. Apart from that, if you refer to any coaching and all, it would also be good. Then legal GK. Current legal GK would go along with the general knowledge sections, but you need to be a bit more inquisitive about the amendments that are being done, the bills that are being tabled in the parliament, or any sort of judgment that is being passed by the Supreme Court or High Court. Because if I talk about ALIT, that is for NLU Delhi, they have a lot of weightage for current legal GK. There you'll have the statement based questions where you'll have to tell what all are wrong and what all are right. So for that, you need to read current legal GK in a bit detail. Then comes your static legal GK. Again, I'll say that for static legal GK, what you need is just the coaching material, because then it's also very wide and you cannot afford to wander here and there. So just refer to the material and it would suffice. So for this section, once you clear the concepts, it's all about practice. There is nothing that you need to be regular with this, because if you attempt 1 or 2 mocks in 2 to 3 weeks, it would suffice, I believe. So the next section is logical reasoning. It can be broadly classified into critical and analytical. Critical goes hand in hand with English preparation. There's nothing new that you need to do for this. However, there'll be some new topics like syllogism, deductive reasoning and all. You can do that from books and it would work for you. Then analytical reasoning is all about mathematical reasoning sort of thing. And mathematics and this goes hand in hand. However, you need to be a bit more analytical while doing all these things. So it would come from practice. There's nothing specific that you need to do. It's also again about clearing the concepts and then practicing. Then comes your mathematics section. Mathematics, the level is not that too high. What you learned in class 10, that is being asked. Some new topics can be introduced like permutation and combination, but they are not of that level for you, which you need to be a PCM student. So in fact, I was also not a PCM student, but mathematics was my favorite section, because I believe this section and the GK section is something which secures a place in the merit list for you. Because GK is not something which can be done by a person who takes a preparation very late. I mean, it can be done, but not as efficiently as it will be done by a person who is doing that from the very beginning. So mathematics and GK should be the special focus for you if you want to get into the top tier NLUs. So for mathematics books, mocks, PYQs, again, once you clear the concepts, it's all about practice. There's nothing specific which you do need to do about this section. Now comes the mocks and PYQs. So I'll say that before you get into the preparation for CLAT, what you need to do is, first of all, just read the PYQs, previous year question papers. Even if you do not solve them, at least have a look, read them, so that you have an idea as to what you need to do and what you need not to do. When I was talking about GK, I said that while you read the newspaper, you should know where the questions will arise from. That sort of predictability will come when you start solving these PYQs. So before even delving into the sections separately, at least have a look at all the previous year question papers, not all, at least 5 to 6, so that you have an idea as to what all this examination is about. Then comes your mock. I mean, throughout my speech, I had been ranting about mocks and mocks. What is this mock? What does the mock do? So it helps you to know how to manage your time amongst the various sections, how to divide your time as to what section needs to be attempted first and what needs to be attempted at last. And a mock not analyzed is a mock wasted. It's pure wastage of time if you do not analyze that mock. So what you need to do is that analyze it. You should know what are your priority areas, where are you lagging behind, where are you at par, and where are you beyond the par, so that you do not waste your time on the sections where you're already good at. You need to devote your time to the sections where you are not working, you're not turning out to be very good. So this is what mock does to you. It helps you to realize what is to be done and where it is to be done. So mocks and PYQs are a must for any aspirant, I believe. Then comes how to balance your preparation with school. So for the class 11 students, I will say you have a lot of time. And if you are thinking of getting into this examination, then start right away. Because you have an ample time in class 11, because once you go in 12, then it's, it's all the pressure from the society as well as the parents, boards. So 11th, you have that time. So what you can do is that you can clear all your concepts in class 12, so that when you go into the 11th, sorry, you can clear all your concepts in class 11th, so that once you go in 12th, what you have to do is all practice. You'll not have to waste your time over the concepts. And the more you practice, the better you'll fare. So like I said, for English, all the concepts for grammar and all can be cleared in class 11th instead. Then for GK, the starting portion can be dealt in class 11th. For maths, all the concepts can be cleared in class 11th. For reasoning, same goes for reasoning, logical as well as legal. So when in 11th you have the time, you can do it, and you'll not get a lot pressurized when you enter the class 12th. And for class 12th students, I'll say, the moment you enter into class 12th, many people make the excuse that we are in an adaptation stage and we need time and all. I believe that is the critical juncture where you can work, because at the end of the year, you'll all be occupied with the boards, pre-boards, practicals, and it becomes very difficult for you to devote time for Clat. So it's better that in the very beginning of the session, you clear all your concepts, so that at the end you do not have to make a choice between Clat and boards. And during your boards or pre-boards or practicals, I'll definitely not suggest to completely abdicate your preparation of Clat. You need to be in touch. You need to be in touch with the practice, so that you do not lose out. Because even if you do not practice for 1 week or 2 weeks, I have seen that it literally affects the mock scores. So you cannot afford to do that. So please be very regular with your practice, even if you are in class 12th. You'll have to make a trade-off. As in economics, we have that there's an opportunity cost for everything. So you'll have to do that, because it's not, if you have started in class 11th, then I believe it's possible for you to be very good at both the things. But if you have some priorities, then set them right and devote the time accordingly. Then for retakers, I'll say that people say that they have a lot of time, but I believe that more than the time, what they have is more pressure, be it from the society or from your parents. So you need to tackle them in a better way. For the students who are school going, they do not have that much pressure. They just go with the flow. But when you are a retaker, you have a lot of things going on in your mind, and you start overthinking. So you'll have to cope up with all of that. You can take up anything, be it meditation or any sport. I believe that is something which should be done if you're a retaker. Now, the most important thing when it comes to balancing your preparation with school is time management. Time can be your worst enemy as well as your bestest companion. So you need to set your priorities right, and you need to cut off from everything that distracts you from your preparation, be it your friend circle, be it any social media platform. I'm not asking you to seclude yourself completely from the society, because talking to your friends, talking to your parents really helps. But you should know when to stop and when to start. You should know your limits, and you should know your priorities. That is something which is needed. So it is all about this. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, Ayushi. So there was a question on how to deal with the change in pattern, which Adya Pandey had asked. So I'd just like to take this up and share with Adya that yes, there is a change in pattern, but Ayushi covered it in her speech. Change in pattern or no change in pattern, the idea about reading newspapers, books, and upping your reading speed. See, the only change that you have to accommodate to is there is a trade-off between speed and reading. So now this paper involves a lot more of reading, application, and less of rote learning. So if you are a person who likes to read and apply yourself, then I think this is the paper for you, because there is very little rote learning left in the paper now, except of course for GK. And wherever Ayushi kept mentioning about material, so she made a very relevant point. Do not get distracted with too many materials. Stick to a set of material that you subscribe to. So Ayushi has just recently joined law school. So I can say that all of these students, she in her batch, Sarthak and all those students, they all stuck to only this material they got from here, the previous year question papers, solutions that they got from here. And she made a point that outside material, there is no guarantee of correct answers. So just pay attention to these little things. And of course, making your own notes in GK, all this will be in sync with the new pattern. Anant is on now. Anant,
Yeah, hi ma'am.
hi.
So should I just go on?
Yeah, is there a PPT that you have? Do you want to
Yeah,
share?
I'll get to that in a minute. I
Okay.
just start off with the since like nobody's dealt with sort of life in law school till now. Like I know Divyansh and Divyansh has like talked about how law school is good for you and how it's beneficial, the 5 year course. But I'm sure there are some of you who have your worries, in the sense that you guys are worried about how like you're thinking that lawyers seem to be these just white and black coat people who just don't chill out. Always they're studying, they're in the library. That's not who we are. That's not who Devyansh is. As much as we might try to portray ourselves as that, we are not these people. Okay. So all of us have had our fair share of enjoyment in law school, and law school does allow you, give you time for that. Well, it's a very hectic place. One very important aspect that law school teaches you is time management. You've got to be on the, it's not like you can just leave everything and chill out for 2 weeks and then just get back to full work for 2 weeks. That might be a feasible thing to do while you're in school, but that doesn't translate well into college and definitely does not translate well into job. You've got to balance, you have each day as a balance of your of studies and your what you have to do, or the work you have to do, and the leisure activities that you'd like to do. So we've had, like, most law schools have a system where they have committees devoted to these. So there's bound to be a sports event. So all you sports people who like to like play cricket, tennis, basketball, I don't know what your question is, but like all of those sports are usually catered to. There are college teams, there are batch teams, there are competitions that keep happening over like throughout the year, and you'll always find your clique to sort of hang out and chill with these people. With you can just like hang up on a random Friday night or even a weeknight and just go play some sports to get rid of that class irritation, or that project stress that you have. And also for all the musicians out there, the people who are more inclined towards the cultural aspect side of things, there's bound to be certain cultural events that happen in all of the law schools will have their own fair share of like concert where like we've had law school people. There's been a law school band for the past 5 years, for the past quite some time now, and not just 5 years. And they've played at every Strawberry Fields, which is National Law School of India, Bangalore's flagship concert, or like the event of the year, basically the party event of the year. And there will be also be regular other things, like when you have a short burst of a 3 day event, say like a seminar or a conference or a moot or an ADR competition that's organized by the student body will eventually want to chill out, will want to calm your nerves, and these guys will organize a party for you guys. So don't think that law school is, once you enter law school, it's just going to be 5 years of books, library, classroom, suits, moot courts. That's not how it works. You'll have your time to chill out and you'll have your time to have fun, and that's the most essential part of any education system. Now getting to what happens after life in law school, that is your jobs and your internships. I'll so let me just share my screen. Yeah. So yeah, how to go about them, what's important, what's not. You'll face a barrage of information of this once you start your law school career, once you go into law school. There'll be seniors who are telling you what to do, how to do it, what internships are good, what are legit, when to start, blah blah blah. There's going to be a lot of information. So what you need to sift out at the very beginning, in the first stretch, say 1 or 2 years of law school that you have, is to find out what you eventually want to do after law school. So there's a couple of things that you can go, couple of routes that you can go with this. There's first the broad categories being corporate and non-corporate. So a corporate sector job would be something that is more organized, that pays you out a salary, a very thick, hefty salary, as many people have mentioned in this seminar, in this presentation as well. So there'll be, so these are firms which deal more with paperwork or more with the tech the more technical side of law rather than the Tariq pe Tariq side of law. Okay, so that's what the primary difference between corporate and non-corporate will be. So then corporate will be your run-of-the-mill intern. Like now, starting with internships. If you want to do a corporate internship, you will in all probability be going through your recruitment cell of the college. All colleges have one. Their basic, they'll be comprised of students like you. Their job is to talk to these law firms, to either law firms or banks or any other corporate side firms that might be interested, say KPMG or ICICI Bank, are some examples that have hired, like have taken Deutsche Bank, that have taken interns and hires from National Law School. So these students will be talking to them, coordinating with them, setting dates for them, for these people to come to college and pick you up on from on-campus hiring. So then, and the second is, and these are law firms are the star-studded, the stars of the show. These are where you ideally want to go if you are not, if you are worried most about the money and less about other things that I will deal with in the last slide. So, so that's how you sort of go about with your law school internship. Is the first step is getting into there. So then the other end of the spectrum would be the non-corporate sector, which is less of a technical or a paperwork based internship or a paperwork based system of working, and more active on ground works like NGOs. These will be very self-explanatory concept. I don't need to go into how these work, but if you're interested in social work, like Divyansh talked about, how there's a very heavy aspect of sensitization in law school. So a lot of you might go in thinking, yeah, this straight goal, I just want to go in, get a co-op job, get the money. And when you're in law school, you start to read and you start to understand how the system works, and how the system works towards oppressing certain people, certain issues that are sort of buried or are not paid much importance to. And you feel that these issues deem are extremely important for our future, and therefore you want to work towards them. So NGOs will allow you to further that interest and try to work in towards those goals. Finally, advocacy, very simple, very straightforward court crafts. These will be involved working under a lawyer or a judge. You will understand how the law actually is implemented on ground, how the courts will interpret the law, how judges tend to think, how lawyers tend to argue, what things go into argument. Okay, so you've all watched Suits, you've all watched some form of legal pop culture reference, I'm sure. And I hate to burst your bubble before you enter law school, but a lot of those are fictitious. Okay, so there's a lot of drama involved in there. No lawyer is going to go to in front of a judge and say tariq pe tariq, tariq pe tariq. That is never going to happen, ideally. But these are extremely interesting in the sense that you get to actually argue the law. A lot of people are going into this profession with the hopes that they will, yeah, they're good at arguing, they'll get argumentation, they'll go into courts and argue. That's what you do as a lawyer, and that's what makes it interesting. While there's a flip side to it, which I'll deal with further ahead. But yeah, that's basically what you do. So these are your two forms of internships that you will eventually go to. And so why are you interning? So when you're interning with a corporate sector, with a corporate sector person, with a corporate job, or whether it be a corporate job as a bank or as a law firm, be it whichever way, what you're trying to do is hopefully learn what you're going to be doing. Say if you're in the corporate sector and you're in the M&A team, which is the mergers and acquisitions team, you work towards that mergers and acquisition. You start to learn what work they're actually doing and translate your work from law school, your studies from law school, into your actual on ground effects. Now, one thing that I should mention here is, once you enter law school, there's a point of time you might feel your education is very drab, very dry. It seems very just off the on the books. I felt that way for quite some time, for like at least a couple of years. That was before I started interning. Once I went to my first internship and I realized how these laws from the books are actually implemented in real life, it opens a world of possibilities in your mind. It'll just blow your mind as to how these little words, one single word, can flip a case from left to right. So those things, how lawyers argue that, how firms play on that, how very big issues come out from very small problems, will start to show you how what you're learning in the books, what you're learning in the class actually really matters. And that's why it's important to intern. Another importance of internship is so that you don't lose interest in this subject, because no matter what you might feel from the get-go from reading a couple of books or bare acts, this is a very deep and a very interesting subject to eventually study. Okay, so then yeah. So why intern? Firstly, I've dealt with corporate sector. You'll get you okay. How you intern in a corporate sector is you pick what you're going to do sort of in the beginning, and you have a couple. It's not like you just pick and you're done with it. You have a couple of hit and tries, but ideally you should have a fair idea of what you're going to do. Say if it's not just corporate law, it's just corporate law and I'm going to do arbitration, or if it's corporate law, I'm going to be in a firm and I'm going to do mergers and acquisitions, or I'm going to do capital markets work. So once you've learned that and you've done 2 3 internships, the recruiter also sees that. All right, they see your CV and they know that you're already in this role for the past 2 3 years, and that's one less resource they spend on you. That's that much less time that you will take in getting into the system, since you're already in the system. So that's more money for them, and that's a better job opportunity for you. So then for a non-corporate job, now I've mentioned here that the primary point of interest is networking. But let me tell you, your networking should start from day one of when you enter law school. Okay, you're there to make friends and to learn as well. But when you're outside law school or when you're in law school, you get these people who come in to take seminars, who come in to take lectures. Don't just go like mechanically go sit in that lecture, maybe take notes and come out, chat with your friends, have a cup of tea or whatever. Just try and engage with that person who's taking that lecture. Try to talk to them and see where they come from, what they've journeyed through, and sort of get your face in front of them. Okay, what that works how that works out well in future is because you'll get a varied number of, as Divyansh talked about, you'll get a varied number of people who come to take seminars and talks and lot of things in law schools. So these people might be the ones who you look to for jobs. Okay, so these people will be important in your job or internship sphere as well. That's why you should always try to be on your toes, always try to be networking, always try to be talking to new people, and you'll always get time for that cup of tea later. But this person, once they leave, that's it. So sorry, so that's how you should sort of try to go about it. And also specifically in a non-corporate internship, that is when you're working under a lawyer. Now my very strong suggestion to you is, even if you're going to the corporate sector, you should have at least 1 or 2 internships in the courts, because the civil courts or the civil court, high court, supreme court, I would suggest civil or high court, because the supreme court is a completely different ball game. But if you're in the civil or the high court, you will realize a very different world exists with the law, especially in the civil court. My first day at the civil court, I entered Lucknow. I'm from Lucknow. I entered the Lucknow civil court, and there was a sea of black coats in front of me. It was honestly, it was mesmerizing for a moment, because I realized that it tells you your place in the world. It sort of makes you realize that this is the competition I'm dealing with, and that's how much harder I have to work in order to get ahead of these people. Okay, so that's how you. So I would strongly suggest, once you're in law school, to have at least a couple of internships, because the perspective they give you. Okay, so yeah, so okay, now jobs, where the meat of the matter. So these are the numbers from the past couple of years. From National Law School of India, Bangalore, we've had every year we've had some 58 people sit for like some 40 to 50 people sit for placement, and most of those people have been placed, barring a few, because so how these placement numbers are determined are, there are placement cells, and there are people associated with these placement cells, and these people might eventually go on to not sit for placements, but those numbers still stay stagnant over there. And also they might eventually sort of do their own practice, as Divyansh told you. These own practices will not count for these numbers, but they eventually do count for, but they are eventually employed. So these are simply the number of people who wanted to sit for placements through campus, that is on campus placements, or day one, day zero, all those things, and got placed for them. So in most years, the numbers have been very, very high, in regards to the fact that if you see just this year, there were 44 people. There were around, I think, 50 people who sat, and 44 people. I don't think there's a number of people who sat this year, but there were 44 people who got placed this year, out of a max, or out of 50 who sat for placements. There were a lot of other people in my batch as well who wanted to do other things. So therefore the number was lower. But 44 people getting placed means you were one of the 44 people out of 80. So that's That's, I'm not talking about the people, number of people who sat. I'm saying once you get into these colleges, 50% of your, once you get into the college, you have a 50% security of job. Okay, that's a very fairly high number. And going on ahead, I'll also talk about the numbers of what these jobs give out to you. And so there's a very high probability of job security that you get once you get into a reputed law school. Even with Nalsar, we see the trends are generally very positively inclined. And one important why this happens, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, is that law sits in a very good niche position of being it sits in a very good position of being niche as well as mainstream. It's not gotten the saturation that, say, an engineering job or a medical job or those professions has. There's no dime a dozen lawyers. There's a very good market for good lawyers, good educated lawyers who know what they're doing. Because I've seen cases being botched up by lower court lawyers, and even some corporate lawyers as well. But so there's a very strong demand for lawyers getting hired. And also you'll realize that even in the case of in time of a pandemic, law does still keeps thriving. And maybe our work sort of increases because there's that many more contracts that are not being fulfilled because of various clauses because of the pandemic, and there's that many more payments not being made. So one thing you should keep in mind is, even despite the how the world goes around, how the world might stop, even law still sort of goes around, because there's a lot of things that the courts will always be functioning. Okay, so then where do you go after law school? Okay, so I've seen this question that what if I don't want to be a lawyer in court or a judge after law school? And so there's the LLB degree is not going to hold you back to a legal situation. Okay, so this, it's not closing any doors for you. What it's doing is opening doors for you. As Abhishek sir talked about, it's easier than the, I know it does the same thing, the BTech is the same thing, it doesn't bar you to become an engineer. But the law degree, a good reputed law degree, is slightly easier to get than an the IIT education, and therefore it's the better path to take for you. So now again, these are corporate jobs or non-corporate jobs. Corporate jobs are your big ticket jobs that pay high. 12 to 16 lakhs is the average salary for starting off. As Divyansh said, there were minimum was 12 lakh for law firms. In my year of placement for all law firm jobs, that is Luthra, Shardula, Merchant, Mangaldas, Scam, and all of the and AZB as well as Trilegal, all of these firms had packages that range from 15 to 16 lakhs, no less than, I think, 14, approximately 14.8 lakhs. So these are the amounts that you're talking about. And so there's always a very good payout once you get into a law school. You're probably not going to end up jobless or poor at the end of it. And these are just starting off figures. These are basic BLLB job figures. These once you get an LLM or an MBA degrees, these are only going to go higher. Okay, these are not, this is just, and even if you don't get those degrees, even if you get stick to that job and slog it out for even 2 years, your salary is going to go through the roof. Okay, so don't, when you're joining law, I should your if your primary concern is money, you will get it, don't worry about that. Okay, then so as again, harping back to what Divyansh talked about, a very critical approach to life in general. You'll read cases where you'll clearly see that there's been injustice done, or you'll see things that you realize, and you'll have circles of people around you talking about things that about injustices that are being done around the world. These include things like the environment, these include things like women rights, like racism, like and a number of things. I don't need to like sort of, I could go on all day. Okay, so when you get a more sympathetic view and understanding of these things, of these issues, you start to realize that you might want to make a change. Your sort of idea of law as a money making, money bags job changes, and therefore you go into things like NGOs or judiciary or advocacy. Okay, so these things may not pay well in the beginning, at least, but as you're more like the more like common corporate jobs, the 12, 16 lakh payouts. But if they are your cup of tea and give you more satisfaction eventually, advocacy does not have that salary ceiling. Okay, understand the very basic difference between these two, between corporate job and an advocacy job is that of business, and is that of a business and a salaried job. You're in a salaried job, you have a sure shot salary of whatever lakh amount per annum, but you're not going to go beyond, you're not going to go much beyond that, okay? But if you're in the business side of things, you can touch the roof. You've seen, you I'll talk about the numbers again further on, but there's no glass ceiling for you. You earn as much as you say. You quote your figures. That's how good people are, okay? And then finally, academia and civil services. So for academia, your basic step is going to be from an LLB, you're obviously going to pursue an LLM. That is definitely going to be. So for that, you need a good basic foundation. In law school, you get those. Reading, writing, and researching papers might seem like things that you can do on your own sitting at home. I don't really need that law school tag for that. But apart from the tag, you also get a very good support system of peers, seniors, faculty, your research material, your libraries. All these things are invaluable. Once you start to research on a topic and you realize, okay, I need this book, you need to have a good enough support system in your college that allows you to ask for a book and then have that book ordered for you, specifically for you. And I have done that in law school, and that happens within a period of say 2 weeks. You'll have that book in your hand. Sorry again. So that way, law school, the support system that law schools offer you is extremely important towards succeeding in the long run in academia. Now, civil services, again, the system is, as Devansh has very well, he's elaborated very well on this. The fourth and fifth years are slightly easier than the first 3 years, giving you some amount of time that you can devote entirely to your to the civil services prep. And also, again, while this is not a pure legal job, the critical thinking that you gain in law school will obviously serve you very well in your future services, where you'll have a deeper understanding of how systems work when you're making changes, and you'll have a better idea of how that change might eventually end up getting implemented, and what loopholes you might want to fix. Now, coming to the big topic of it all, money, money, money. Who makes what? Okay. So yeah, where does the average engineering salary lay? I'm going to take it because it's the most common thing that a lot of people do. It's the thing I would have done if I not done law. So it spreads anywhere from 3 to 8 lakhs, with a very this is a conservative figure, like in the sense that there's a lot of people who make much higher than this, and there's a lot of people who make lower than this. But I would say this is a figure that, from my understanding of talking to engineers, those who've been employed, a 3 to 8 lakh package figure is nice enough for them. But the numbers, as we've talked about, start in law school, start off at the 12 lakh per annum figure. That is where, again, this is where you'll start off day one of out of law school. Okay, this is not a 2 year later salary or a 2 degree later salary. This is as you start off. And again, with law firms, figures are 14 to 16 lakhs, which is a lakh per month once you deduct taxes and all those things. And I don't know who you are, I don't know what your interests are, what you want to do, but a lakh after college, stepping out of college, 1 lakh in your pocket post taxes is damn good. Okay, it's not just some random salary that you're getting. Okay, so if you're in it for the money, you see the figure, you'll see the figures in front of you. You just need to Google them. These are not figures that I as a law schoolite, or Divyansh as a law schoolite am privy to. These are figures that are online. You can read up on them as well. Now, the foreign jobs. These are jobs that are primarily place you in London, and so these are the suits kind of job. Okay, they'll take you on a very nice fancy this something called a vacation scheme, and they'll take you out. They'll have you take you out for parties. They'll give you their work culture. They'll play golf with you. They'll do a lot of stuff with you. Okay, apart from the working, there'll be a lot of working, and eventually they will pay upwards of 25 to 30 lakhs. Okay, this is a very, very conservative figure that I have taken here. The amounts that these people get are way higher. Okay, these are not even like, these are the figures that I have personally talked to people, and they've told me that they would be getting. That's one or two people, but from what I've read and from what other seniors have told me, the numbers actually go way, way higher. So therefore, if you're purely looking at it for the money, you have no other interest, you should go towards these jobs. And what you need for these jobs is very basically a CGPA and a CV. Okay, a CGPA, you will uh, I'm not one of those star-studded high CGPA people. So I will give you this advice from the beginning. If you want a great job, a great awesome job like a foreign job, from day one you'll have to keep working on your CGPA. You cannot let that drop like as little as possible. These are very selective people who will select the very creme de la creme from your batch, and therefore if you want to be one of those creme de la creme, you will have to work your ass off towards that. Okay, uh, so yeah, for that you need the CGPA. Other things, I was of the opinion that my CV should outshine others, and sort of at the end of the day it should look like a very good CV, which matters of course. But if you don't have a CGPA to go with it, to sort of, if you have out of 7, if you say have a 6 CGPA and you've done a lot of work, that works well for you. But if you have a 4 CGPA or a 4.5 CGPA and you've done everything in that law school has to offer, they won't care. They won't look at you. They will just reject you outright. So therefore, if you're going towards these corporate jobs, you should always have a CGP oriented mindset, while you also do other things in law school. Of course, they're looking for a full rounded development. Okay, so again, do keep in mind these are starting figures and have massive rooms for improvement, from like partners making upwards of 1 crore per annum. This is a partner I have personally talked to who's told a class of law students saying, and I quote, uh, I have found after working 4 or 5 years, after working so many years, I found out I just need 1 crore per annum to be happy. And thankfully, I've been earning more than that per annum for the past few years. That's his exact quote, and that's just how you do it. And for the end of the spectrum, as a court lawyer, again, your starting figures would be lower. The money you will be tight pocketed in the beginning, because of course it's a business. You have to invest. You're working your ass off. You're working hard. Okay, but once you start earning, once you start your own practice, once you divide, that's when you really start going higher. If you do a simple Google search, the amounts that these high big ticket lawyers will charge is anywhere around 10 to 15 to 25 lakhs per hearing. Again, a hearing is not a full case. A hearing is the time you spend in court before a judge. On one day, 1 5 minute argument before a judge counts as a hearing, and that's what they cost. That's what they charge 25 lakhs for. The 25 lakhs is not for the hearing that they're giving. It's for the 20 years of experience that they have behind them, and the 10 years of slogging in with the low salary that they've done. Okay, so that's how you'll sort of take up the non corporate side. You might take some time to get started, but once you do get started, it's going to pay off immensely. Okay, now the great. So yeah, so okay, first, law and law is a all in all, it's a clearly paying profession. Why? You have a fair bit of job security, in the sense if you're in a good law school, you will get a job, and the figures I've quoted up top are mostly figures for that. These figures are mostly figures for law firms as well as a few banks, but there are also tier two law firms, and other law firms, other banks are just firms that hire people externally outside of RCC, that is the placement cell, and therefore there's always that opportunity to go beyond these numbers. These are not completely accurate numbers. You will obviously go beyond them. These are the base starting figure, guaranteed these many people have been given jobs. So again, there's a fair bit of job security. There's a fair bit of pay, a good fair bit of pay. If you're going into the organized firm sector, you will get at least 10 to 12 lakhs per annum, and as a starting salary, with great room for improvement. And as a lawyer, again, you might not start off that high, but you will reach that high. Like you can reach those highs. Okay, so then okay, yeah, as I said, it's positioned as a mainstream niche profession. It doesn't face the saturation of engineering. Your parents, you know that engineering is a saturated profession right now. There are tons and tons of unemployed engineers who've done their engineering, and you've seen engineering colleges pop up dime a dozen in your own city, I'm sure. But the degree of law hopefully will not give you the parental dismay that comes with being a YouTuber or wanting to be a professional gamer. So that's there. It's security, as well as your parents will be fine with it. You might have a fair bit of convincing to do, but once you show them the pays that you get, you'll be sorted. Okay, so in terms of pure monetary investments, if you're going to a national law school, say just my law school, I think it was an investment of around 12 lakhs over the 5 years, through the fees. Okay, just the fees was around 12 lakhs. If you pump it up, it's 15 lakhs or maybe even 17 lakhs in 5 years. And potentially, and most of my batch will make up that amount in 1 year. Okay, that's the investment to output ratio that you're looking at. 5 years to 1 year, and that's a broader figure that that's a generous figure that I'm taking of 17 lakhs. Okay, so you see how this pans out eventually. Now, one very important thing that comes with jobs is work-life balance. Okay, and this is where I will sort of try to end on some humor, because there's like, once you go see, people berate law because it has a very bad work-life balance. But honestly, any job where you're starting off, be any business, you're supposed to put in the hours. You're going to put in the hours in order to succeed. Be it engineering, medical students spend what ages studying, I don't know, decades studying. And so that's while the work life balance, you might find memes like this saying, yeah, work life balance sucks, it's very bad, it kills you, it takes all the life out of you. Those things, they're common across the board. Fact check, every job is going to have them, every good job is going to have them, and every good employee will have work life issues in the beginning. But eventually, once you start getting into the grind of the job, you will start realizing how to manage the rigors of your work, as well as the rest of your life. But one another thing I'm going to quote from one of the from a law firm partner that had taken a course for me. What he said was, the only two people who are going to be happy after doing law are academicians and civil servants. Okay, so while it sort of negates all that I've said, but you're going to have a good experience if you're in it for the money, and it's going to pay you out well. So that's where I'll close. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about jobs or internships right now. Focus more on your legal side. All this slideshow, maybe you should have shown your parents to convince them to let you do law, or maybe if you're on the fence about whether law will eventually pan out to be a good investment for the future, I can assure you it will. And that's where I'll close.
Thank you, Anant. So now if there are any queries, we would be very happy to take them. All our panelists are here. So please post your queries. Meanwhile, let me remind you, I'm sharing my screen. Let me remind you of our diagnostic classes. Please do attend the classes. These are our batch details, 26th and 29th. These are all our center locations and their numbers. Please do note down the center nearest to you. Please do note down the numbers of the centers that are nearest to you, where you can step in for a counseling, or you can book our counseling online at our website. So we have a question from Kriti. What skills do we need to choose CLAT? Would any of our panelists like to take this up? What skills?
Hi, Kriti. In particular, if you ask me skills, I think you do need a bit of reading speed in your skill set, because that is something that this new pattern will actually be focusing on, as Surbhi ma'am and Ayushi also mentioned. So that is one thing that you really need. Apart from that, I think everything can be that something that you can focus on and prepare. What you need is a basic education level of, let's say, class 10th before you start thinking about preparing for CLAT.
Thank you, Divyansh. Do you want to add something? Anant, you wanted to add something to it?
No. That's that. I think the reading skill, a basic understanding of English, is something that I felt improved my CLAT preparation and sort of acted as the foundation, and that's going to be more of a foundation with the new CLAT pattern. So I agree with what Devyan said. He covered most points I would wanted to convey.
All right. Regarding skills, I think pretty much Anant and Divyansh have summed it up. Okay. You need the basic skills. But there's this just one thing that I need to add, that a lot of times, we need to realize something, that this is an aptitude test that we'll be writing. Okay. And almost every aptitude test that you will take in your life will primarily test you on basic skills of verbal and maths. Okay. Clat has certain added on things, like for instance, you'd be asked questions on current affairs and everything. But please understand that apart from these skills that you need, the most important skill is time management, and that will hold true for any aptitude test that you write, be it the GMAT, GRE, CLAT, NIFT entrance. Time management is the most important aptitude skill. Okay, the most important skill that's needed. And for time management, I think there are certain strategies that you definitely have to learn. For example, you will get close to 4 to 5 passages in the English section. Okay. And now, if you're good with English, all right, you're great with English. But if you actually end up reading the entire passage and then read the questions, go back to the passage again, read the question, go back to the passage, then irrespective of how good you are with your accuracy, if you end up spending all the time on that one passage, then at the end of the day, you will fail the purpose. So I definitely feel that some guidance in the form of, letting you, or sort of giving you the strategies, the time saving tricks and strategies is quite imperative and essential for cracking any aptitude test. So that is the one bit that I wanted to add from my side, that time management is very important. It's actually quintessential for any aptitude test, and which is why some sort of guidance where you learn how to, let's say, do a question in under 20 seconds or 30 seconds, okay, which is about, like, for example, if you start doing the legal aptitude section, maybe you're really good with the basic legal skills. You don't actually need to know the law. But then there are certain skills that perhaps you should know, or you have to know, in order to do those questions in 30 seconds. So yes, that extra bit of guidance is quite important, especially if you want to crack the top 3 colleges.
And many of these skills can be acquired. So even if you feel you don't read now, you can start and take it forward. So it basically is development of a good habit, which will serve you not just for CLAT, but even later for college. Because all these students who have graduated or are in law schools, they will tell you how much reading and application is needed even as a grad student, if you are looking at seriously finishing your graduation. So there's one question on higher education abroad, which we will take. There was one question on GK, so maybe Ayushi can take this question on GK, that there is lots of information which comes in every day. So how can we remember everything?
See, as I said, that you need to interrelate the things, and you need to be predictable about what is relevant for the examination. You do not need to remember each and everything. That's what I said, that once you start having a look at the previous year question papers and start attempting the mocks, you'll know where the questions arise from. So it's not that you need to remember each and everything. You need to be smart and selective about what you need to read and what you need to remember. So that's what that's what I would say. And if you want, still there is a lot to remember, I'll say I agree, and I definitely believe that. So for that, you can, as I said, you can interrelate the things, and you'll have to rote learn. It's like there's no shortcut for that. For GK, you'll have to do rote learning. I concede that.
So that's correct, Ayushi. You have to learn. Plus, at CLAT Possible, we give you quizzes every week. We give you at the classes we conduct. See, GK, ideally, even if you don't conduct a class, everyone has to learn. But the classes we conduct ensures that you are learning in the class itself. So if there is class, then there is a quiz, then there is a revision class. So the pedagogy is such that you will keep on repeating those things again and again. But at the end of the day, yes, for certain things, there is no shortcut. There is one question on avenues abroad. Anand, can you take that
Before
quickly?
that, there was
Okay.
this one more question where somebody asked, do you actually need a coaching for cracking the CLAT? Well, I would like to address that question because that's one question that we get quite a lot, after all these webinars. You see, at the end of the day, your efforts is what is going to matter. If you ask me that, sir, only if I attend 2 classes, 2 hours of class a day for 5 days in a week, am I going to crack the top 5 law schools? I don't think that is ever going to happen. Okay, so your effort will definitely play the most pivotal or important role in determining whether or not you crack a top college. Okay, that said, what I just want to tell you is that I have already reiterated that point in the last question, that there are certain skills and strategies which definitely we can help you out with, and you test it yourself. Like, for example, we just announced the dates for the demo classes. Okay, and now in the demo classes, I will be, let's say the first demo class will be on legal, which I'm going to take with you people, and I definitely recommend that you attend that class. I will be discussing some close to 5 to 6 questions in that class. Okay, and those questions will be like verbose passages with literally 1,000 words to read, and now you will do them on your own. And after that, I will tell you that what are the tips and techniques wherein you can literally cut down on the reading time and do the question in under 1 minute. Okay, so you be your best judge. You attend the classes, you see whether it will help you in a journey of cracking the CLAT paper. Okay, so don't ask random people. Okay, I mean, you might not believe me because at the end of the day, we are running this coaching. So if I tell you that, yes, you come and join me, you'd feel that I have vested interest. So why ask this question? Attend the classes, attend the demo classes, and see if the classes that we take with you will actually play an important role in helping you crack the CLAT. Okay, don't ask this question to anybody. Attend the 3 demo classes. Thank you.
Maybe Ayushi, Anant, and Divyansh can share briefly their journey with Clat Possible and whether it helped them or not. I think we can hear it from these students also, though I know Anant and Divyansh sort of, we feel it was in their previous birth that they were here, but because life in law school seems like one whole birth. But, Ayushi, of course, is the most recent person who sort of has just gone into law school, is in a second year. But maybe you guys can start, Anant can start. Anant was the UP topper here. And similarly, in the year that he cracked it. So, maybe you can help them understand if it was helpful, because at least for Anant, I knew he was a reader and he was participating in a lot of things. So did it help? Because he already was doing all the things that we would have otherwise made him do. And then Ayushi, Divyansh can also sort of pitch in if they remember some of their experiences.
So very simply, like if you ask for a one word answer to, do I need a coaching to get into law school? If yeah, no, you don't need a coaching. Okay, none of us. There's ample number of people who I'm sure can even crack the JE without a coaching. But what Clat Possible does, at least for me, what it did, as ma'am said, was give me a very, very, like I've talked a couple of times about, a support structure, a support system that helped me improve my training and very streamline it towards that specific cracking CLAT goal. Okay, so like how you someone asked about, there's a ton of GK. I usually talked about that also, but how, how Sanjay sir, the GK, like how our GK sessions went were, he wouldn't teach us things that, okay, yeah, this is this date, this date, this date, this date, wrote them down. He's going to tell you what you have to learn. Okay, he's not going to shove it down your throats. He's going to tell you what is important and why it becomes important. This has come in that paper, this has come in that paper. And that's how these people, they structure their classes. And a support system, as again Ayushi has dealt with, talk is the mocks are extremely important. You leave a mock for 2 weeks, you'll notice the difference. And honestly, I still, if I open my old hard disk, I will have at least 50 mocks that were provided to me by Clat Possible that I could not solve by the end of 2 years. Okay, I was part of the 2 years FIR program. I started my mocks fairly early, like and towards the end of it, like after the boards, I was at a point where I was doing at least 2 mocks per day. Before my boards, I was doing 1 mock per day, and even then I could not go run through all of my entire bank of mocks. So that is a very important thing to have a very, and every question, every doubt I had someone I could text for that, like not just email, or I could text them on WhatsApp, I could drop them a call, they would respond as soon as possible. So this is very important towards to a competitive exam. This is not an exam that you're aiming for a specific score, like I score 100 marks, I'm in. You're trying to be better than everyone else, and in order to be better than everyone else, you need a guru, okay, and someone who's to use a very Hindi term, a margdarshak. And these people have been through that numerous times. They've been successful, you've seen the results. I have not been told to say all these things by Survi ma'am. These are my own volition. Okay, just to put that out there. But they've been through this. You can see their results, and you know that they must be doing something right if they've gotten so many people in law schools. So that's why you don't need a coaching. But if you want to beat everyone else, if you want to go to say a tier 3 law school, you don't need a coaching. Okay, but if you want to be the best of the best, you will need a coaching, and Clat Possible is the best way you do it, in my opinion.
Uh, So I think Anand said quite a few things, and ma'am, I have a few experiences to share. I think a couple of people had asked about GK, and someone asked about maths, whether I should take maths or not, etc. And Abhishek sir mentioned, right, that there are certain skills that even though you might know how to solve a question, like I was a science student, I was preparing for IIT, which I didn't clear. I cleared the mains, but I didn't clear the advanced. But I knew how to solve the question, right? It's a percentage question. A 10th class student can solve it, but how to do it in one line? You do not have the time to waste an entire paper in the examination. You do not have that sort of time. You need tricks for that, and those tricks are not available to you if you study on your own. Those tricks are available to you when someone who's worked on that field, who's thought about these tricks to get those answers quickly, tells you. And not even kidding, I was not bad at maths and I had a hard time finishing the paper. So I will share another instance. I gave the paper on my own in 2014, and at home I was looking at the paper. I was like, it's such an easy paper. I'll clear it like this. So simple. I went for the Clat paper. I sat down in RML, and this guy in front of me just turns around and says, first time. I was like, yes. कोई नहीं अगली बार coaching करके why? Because once I started doing that paper, I realized there was no way I was going to finish that paper in 2 hours. No way at all. Because there are so many things that you only and only get through practice. Like Ayushi mentioned, that giving mocks. We gave so many mocks. Like we even gave the mocks from previous years, apart from the previous year actual question papers, because not only that is a fun aspect, but it's also something that actually teaches you what you have to do. It prepares you, like Abhishek sir had this thing, muscle memory ban jata hai. You to give those answers, it just becomes a muscle memory to answer those things, right? So that's something that you really need to do, and that's something that is made available to you by a coaching. A lot of people keep asking me, like, do I need coaching, do I need coaching? And Anand said, you don't need a coaching. Sure, you might be brilliant and you might be able to clear class, but the thing is, it is always and always better, especially in these competitive exams, to be the best prepared for any sort of circumstance. And that is something which I've seen Clat Possible do again and again. For example, Anant would remember 2015 paper was a mess. It was an absolute mess. First, they suddenly switched to electronic method. And then they gave an absolute, I don't know what sort of paper was that, but we were still prepared for it. And Clat Possibles, one of the best results came out in 2015, if I may say so. Right. So again, that's the thing that you need, right? You want to be prepared for every eventuality. I think parents, if they are there, will agree to this. ये मेरे घर में काफी common line है कि अगर तुम 110 120 के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो तो तुम 90 लेकर के आओगे. इफ यू प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर आईआईटी तो तुम 10th या 12th तो क्लियर कर ही लोगे. So it's that sort of thing. When you're preparing for the best you can do, then you will obviously be able to do better than the person who's studying on their own, who's not had access to these tricks and right. So that's something. And again, I was very bad at GK, and I ended up like my GK score was something around 40. So I was pretty happy, right? That's something that a coaching provides you.
Just on the point what Divyan said about preparing for 110 or 120 and getting 90, that's what Clat Possible does. Okay, their mocks, when you look at their mocks, there's two things how Clat Possible deals with their mocks. One, the mocks will be slightly or comparatively more difficult than your average Clat paper. You will realize that once you see their mocks and compare it to the past year question papers, and that's only to train you for a 2015 situation. Okay, 2015 paper, we had some random maths questions, and we had legal knowledge which we were not prepared for. We had, like, which most people were not prepared for, sorry, league there, instead of the usual legal aptitude which is now run of the mill. But Clat Possible had prepared us for all of that. Okay, so firstly, when you're studying for, when you they train you for a more difficult Clat paper. So when that difficult Clat paper does actually come, you're the best prepared in the lot. And secondly, they'll give you so many mocks, as both of us have already said. There'll be so many mocks that Clat, ALITs, Symbiosis, all these exams will just seem like mocks. Okay, once you go to the paper muscle memory, you'll just be like, okay, yeah, I know all this, I know, sorry, I know all of these questions, yeah, I know all of these questions. That's basically it. You'll just treat them as another mock. And that's the best, that sort of takes away the pressure and the fear of the exam that you have, and that's the best possible thing that you can have in a speed based examination. If you're fearful, you will mess up and you will slow down. So that scheduling of mocks and situating them at a higher difficulty level also is a masterstroke.
Yeah. So as both of them said, coaching is definitely not a must for cracking this examination. But if you have an able assistance, it is something that sets you apart. As Sir also said, there are certain questions which have tricks. This paper is not only about solving the question, but in what time duration do you solve that question? It's what something matters the most. So those tricks and completing those questions in that time duration is something that you get from a coaching. Also, uh, there are certain questions in the question papers that are not meant to be attempted. They're just meant to waste your time. You should know how to spot those questions, and that is something which you can learn from the mocks that are being provided at the various coaching centers. And if I mention specifically about me, it was very helpful. When I was at Clat Possible, I got to know what questions to attempt and what not to attempt. I knew my priorities, and I set them right. And the best thing which I liked about this coaching institution was that we had the students from all around the India sitting in a single room. So when you had that thing, when you have the best people around you, it motivates you to do better. For me, competition doesn't give me a complex, rather it provokes me to do better. So this was something which I liked the best, which I liked the most. So I'll say that that was my best experience at the coaching, because I was a weekend student, so I did not get much. So I did not used to go there daily and have interaction with the teachers and all. But that 1 month period where I was at the coaching with the students from all around the India, I believe that that was the moment that I cherish. I got to learn not only about the examination but also about certain things, and now I have most of them as my batchmates. So I that really helps me at the college as well. So this is something which I would say.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So I hope that clears a lot of your doubts. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Abhishek, who has been ably handling all our webinars and even probably meeting you in schools. So if he stands for elections today, I think the school community, which is turning 18, will definitely vote him in. So because he's really been the face in most schools and their counseling sessions, and he's invited a lot in all those places. There are queries for offline batches. Yes, as Ayushi said, the experience of the club batch which we provide has been really good, and offline batches is something that all of us are missing. And so as soon as the government allows us to start training offline, we will start our centers for all of you. So meanwhile, please bear with us online. And as soon as we get permission in different states to start classes, we will be doing that. As you can see, all these children are also cooped up in their houses. They have not been able to start college. and they're missing probably, I think, Divyansh and Anand probably even sort of missed their final days in college, and they would have loved a good send off. So let's hope that it starts soon. And you can get a list of all our centers here. That's the QR code for our classes. Also, let me take this opportunity to thank Divyansh, Anand, Ayushi. They have been really, really kind. And, whenever we invite them to chat with all the aspirants, they willingly come to do so. So, and trust me, it's not a paid service or anything. If they were to visit us in person, we probably gave them some honorarium, or now online, nothing is happening like that. So it's just out of the goodness of their hearts that they have given me so much time on a Sunday. So thank you so much, children. I mean, where would I be without you? And we'll be signing off now. I'll hand over to Preeti, who will take up any queries regarding batches and fee structure that that you may have. Thank you, everyone. Please have good lunch at your homes. I wish we can do an online webinar soon where I can invite you all and give you lunch and etc. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right,
Bye.
over to Preeti now. Bye.
Hi, good afternoon. You can type in whatever queries you have regarding admissions or anything. So I can take it up here. Please type in your questions, whatever you have regarding the admissions, or, ma'am has already announced about the demo classes. The classes are starting, the demo classes starting from Tuesday. Okay, Lakshmi, the fee structure for which program? Lakshmi, you are in which class right now? In fact, okay, let me just tell you about the fee structure of all the programs so that you can decide whichever program suits you. We have a program for class, okay. So Lakshmi, you are in class 12th. So for students who are in class 12th, we have this Breeze program and the fees for that is 65,000. The classes are on weekends. You can start the classes from this Saturday. The classes are on Saturday and Sunday. Timings are Saturday 4 to 6 and Sunday it is 2 to 6, right? It's already visible on the screen. So the batch is starting from 26th of September. Then we have this program which is for students who are 12 pass outs. That's a regular program. That's Breeze regular. That's the name of the course. And the fees for that is 95,000. If you pay in installments, if you pay in one go, it is 85,000, right? Okay. And thirdly, we have this 2-year program, which is again a weekend program for students who are in class 11th. And the classes are on Saturdays and Sundays. Again, the batch is starting from 26th of September. So the fee for the 2-year program, it is 1,20,000, right? We'll give you a call. Our centers will give you a call regarding the batch details. Again, they'll tell you about the courses and everything. And you can talk to them so that you can, whatever queries you have, you can ask them also. Yes, Chetna, you can switch from the online batch to the offline batch. There might be some difference in the fees. The fee for the offline program will be a little higher than the online program. So whatever is the difference, you can pay and you can upgrade yourself once we start the classes. No, because as of now, so we don't have any classes. Once the government rulings come, so then we'll be having the classes offline also. Okay. Anything else? I hope you all noted down the phone numbers of our centers. Right. And this is the batch details and all. So you can, the numbers, there are 2 numbers also mentioned. You can give us a call on these numbers tomorrow and we can chat about the cost details in more detail, right? So then see you on Tuesday. Now we'll be saying, okay, keep checking your mails. No, Neha, there is no payment for the demo classes. It is free of cost. It's a 4-day demo class that we are conducting. No fee needs to be paid. We'll be having sessions on all these subjects, which is, legal and English. And then we have a session on GK and then data interpretation. So whatever is there in the CLAT exam, we'll be having sessions on all these subjects, right? Keep checking your mail. We'll be sending mail tomorrow regarding the demo class details with the class link also, so you can join from there. Yes, Lakshmi will send the link in your mail. We'll also message you. So just keep checking your mail and messages, not WhatsApp, SMS. I know you people don't actually now remember that there is a SMS service in the phone, but do check your SMS. We'll be sending you SMS regarding the link, right? Anything else that you'd like to ask? Right, so we'll meet again on Tuesday. So if you have any queries, we'll talk about it on Tuesday, and then no on Tuesday at 3 o'clock we'll have the session. So we'll send the link. Okay, it's from Tuesday. It is from 4 o'clock. The session, the demo session. So we'll send you the link for the session, and you can just join that. Okay, Ayush, there is no center in